Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and today we're doing another Women of Horror Spotlight. By the way, this is not just any guest. So let me tell you something. This guest has been a supporter of mine since the beginning. Huge fan. We met over on the Slasher app, and we've been friends ever since. So this is just not any guest. So she has a new book out that she's co-authoring with Asher Dark, and it's called Splatterpark, Shotguns and Bear Cans. She also is debuting her first romantic novella, which is called Tattered. I have with us Carrietta Dorsch, and ladies and gentlemen, she writes some sick shit. Carrietta, welcome finally to the Horror Room.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for having me here. No, I'm excited for my first romance novella because it's very, very different than my usual.
So we're definitely going to get into that. But I was telling my audience, I have read some of your shit, Carrietta, and it is dark. I mean, it is dark stuff. But it's good. And Asher Dark, I mean, listen, she's as dark as you. So tell us a little bit about Splatterpark and how you two were able to come together.
We met. We instantly clicked. We live in the same state, so that obviously helped out the collaboration because we could actually physically meet up and have a little writer's retreat and have that one-on-one time to discuss the stories and the setting and how far we wanted to push the envelope, how dark we wanted to make it, and how challenging we wanted the reader to finish it without churning their stomach just a little bit.
Now, is it a little challenging, or is it easier to co-author with someone and be able to bounce ideas?
It fluctuates. Sometimes it's just different because the key is communication. Which this was my first collaboration. The key is communication, to talk to one another, and I failed a few times where I would be in the zone of my story and I would end up writing something that didn't correspond, so I had to go back and change it a little bit and tweak it and fix it. And so there's just communication is the key, and you have to work with someone that you like and can easily talk to and get along with too. So
because I can imagine that's something that you can't do with everyone, because I mean, ideas are fucking bouncing off of each other, and just now I want it my way, I want it this way, so that's something definitely is important.
No, I knew with Asher Dark that my story's themes would go very extreme, and I knew that she could match it and even push it even more so. So I knew she was the equivalent, if not better. So
see, I'm curious what that brainstorming session looks like. So how did you get these dark, disturbing images in your head and get them on paper?
Well, I started writing in prison, so some of my stories are actually inspired by people that I met in prison, or some of the things that they had done while they're in there. But I've always been a horror fan, and I've always been the one that wanted to find the movie that made you go, oh man, this is fucked up. Hey dude, watch this. This is fucked up. So, me and my friends growing up in school, that was our thing. I would love horror movies, and we would challenge each other of who could find the most brutal horror movie, which is how I was introduced to the French films and the Korean films and the Hong Kong films and a lot of the foreign horror movies, because they just really go brutal.
Yeah. Now, at any point, did you ever have an idea that you thought was too far?
No. there's lines that I don't do, and there's lines that I won't cross. But anyone that's read some of my more recent stuff, like the Mitchell County stories, my short story collection, I have a story in there that involves a blender. So, but there are certain lines that I won't cross as far as content wise. But
Now, when you and I first met, you were trying to figure out how to get into the indie horror writing community, and now you're fucking in it. How amazing is that? I mean, I'm proud of you. Like,
well, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. I had some hiccups here and there, and trying to figure out who's who and what, and how to go about it, and all that good stuff. But no, I've found the right little crowd. So yay!
Yes. Now that you're in it, what would you say is the biggest challenge? Not only being an indie horror writer, but also being a woman indie horror writer.
Being new, I mean, I guess the challenge for a lot of indie is just really trying to get the name out there. And me being relatively new, I've only been published this year. It's really just kind of like the promotional, trying to get those reviews and to get those people to pick up the book and give it a shot, and to give a new voice an opportunity, kind of thing.
Now, you kind of breathe on it. Now, how hard is it to select the right publication, the right people to work with? Is that something that's a challenge for a new writer?
It can be, because you have to figure out who's who, who's good people, who's bad people, who's shady, who's not, who's backstabbers, who's there's a lot of a variety of people. So you just have to kind of find the crowd that best suits you, kind of thing.
Now, you're getting a lot of reviews. I mean, you get reviews in right now.
Yeah.
And I can assume as a creator, you kind of start seeing who your fan base is, who's enjoying your stuff. Who has it been? Men? Has it been women? Has it been young people? Has it been old people?
I've had a little bit of both, of women and men. So it's a pretty collected kind of group that's been enjoying my writing. I kind of branch out some, like my debut, Unmarked Grave, really wasn't splatter. It did have some extreme scenes, but it wasn't your typical like splattered punk. Mitchell County Stories definitely pushes that envelope of lots of gore, lots of mayhem. Obviously, my romance is not going to have any blood in it.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's when you're branching out from different genres too, it's the challenge of trying to find that audience that wants that kind of variety in a writer.
And now you are transitioning over to romance. You have your first romantic novella out, which is called Tattered. Now, what was that tough to transition, going from extreme horror into romance?
Tattered was actually the very first novella I ever wrote. I've just been sitting on it for a while because I was waiting until I was already kind of established, or with a few publications first, before I attempted to release that out into the wild. Now, I've tweaked it since the first writing of it to make it a little more up to date, because it's, originally it was like 5 or 6 years old. I still have the composition book that I wrote it in.
Now tell us a little bit about the story of Tattered.
Tattered is a coming of age story of a young girl who's dealing with the fact that her parents have died, that she's battling her sexuality inside because she's not sure, what her thoughts and feelings are, because she doesn't really have anyone to really confide in anymore. And she gets this position at the theater, and her friend introduces her to some drugs that can help her clear her mind if she just takes them. So it is a story of trying to find yourself, to try to find balance, and to overcome addictions and to overcome that self battle that sometimes people have, or that we all have, really.
Now, when it came to inspiration for writing this novella, did you use personal experiences, or where did you get inspiration from?
It takes place in my hometown of Asheboro, North Carolina. The streets based on it, some of the people are based on people that I knew. So the story was just things that I grew up seeing and grew up experiencing and grew up witnessing, and things that I saw firsthand. So that's really what Tattered was.
Now, I can imagine. I can imagine because, like, I mean, like I've actually, I do horror interviews, but I've tried to branch out and do other interviews, like indie filmmakers. Like, hey, come on, and it's tough. It's tough to transition that over because my brain is so geared to horror. So when you wrote this 5 years ago, and you're coming back to it.
Yeah.
Did this story evolve? Did it change drastically, or I mean, was there a big pieces that you were like, boy, my feelings towards this original story is not the same?
There were a few scenes that I stretched out a little more and added a little more flesh to it. There was a few scenes that I wrote right on the spot when I revisited it. And there's like a few references to films and music and things. Because if you're a fan of pop culture or films, this book is just riddled in references. It's just a fun little Easter egg hunt trying to catch all the movie quotes and movie lines throughout the whole thing. Because she works at a movie theater, so there's a whole bunch of movie in there.
And I know that you're a huge movie fan, so
Yes, I am. I love films. But this isn't the first. This will be the first time right now of branching from horror. In January is my scheduled for release for another attempt to branch away from horror, which will be my first true crime nonfiction book.
So I mean, horror is always going to be your baby.
Yes. Yeah.
But do you see yourself in the future just branching more and more out?
I think so. I like to think of myself more as just an author who tries to write a great story. Whatever that story might be, whatever genre that might be at the time, I kind of just let that story do its thing when I'm writing it. Because sometimes when I'm writing, say, a horror story, I know that it's going to be horror, but I don't know sometimes, okay, I'm going to make this extreme. It's just I'm writing it, and if it happens to be really dark and fucked up, it's just dark and fucked up. But if it happens to be more tame and kind of laid back, then it's, I just kind of let it do its thing wherever it feels appropriate, I guess.
I'm a huge fan of your writing, so I am definitely looking forward to. Now, you can pre-order both of these books. Now, what can you pre-order them at?
Amazon. Yeah, Amazon.
Okay. Amazon's pre-orders everything. But yes, get us Amazon. All right. Carrie, so you're a huge fan of the show, so you already know what's coming next.
Yes.
Actually, 3 random horror questions. Personal opinion. You ready? You're excited for this, aren't you? You've been looking forward to doing this.
Of course.
All right. Carrie, listen, you've killed some people in some horrible, fucked up ways. What is the one way that you're like, oh shit, I wouldn't want to die that way?
Getting eaten alive.
Ooh, by what?
By your killer.
Oh.
So there's.
So you're like restrained?
Yeah.
And he just starts gnawing away.
It's like a whole Hannibal Lecter thing going on. Here, have some.
Wow, that
I
sounds
think
awful.
I think that would be the worst way.
That's a winner. That's a winner. That's definitely a winner.
Yep.
All right. So you have seen many movies in the movie theaters because I follow you on social media. What is the best horror movie of 2024 so far?
Ooh, 2024 so far.
Yeah, because we got Maxine, we got tons of them that you can choose
I
from.
loved Maxine. That was a great theater film. That was just, I had a blast with that. The best. Oh, goodness gracious. This is hard. Uh, as far as a full on theater experience, I'm going to say I had a great time with Talk to Me in the theaters. I thought that was really good and really fun.
Talk to Me is a great one. It's
So
amazing.
so far, Maxine, I loved. It was so good. But I would say Talk to Me. That's my
Talk to
final
Me
answer.
was so, and that's a great answer, but Talk to Me was so damn eerie from beginning to end. It didn't give you a break. It really didn't give you a break. And I definitely love Talk
But
to Me.
I am so looking forward for Smile 2. That's the one I'm. That and Terrifier 3, of course, but that's But Smile
I'm
2.
Small 2, you know how I feel about Terrifier, so I'm going to say that. But, all right, so number 3. What horror movie villain do you feel like you relate to the most?
Ooh. Pin-Up Girl from The Strangers.
Why is that?
Because she's very quiet, observant, and she likes to just kind of play. So,
Yes, she does like to play. It's a fucked up character. Listen, all right, Carrie, this was fun. You finally got to come on the hard round. Isn't that awesome?
oh gosh, yes, I like it. Like it very much.
This is awesome. Listen, I'm gonna have you and Asher on. I'm gonna have both of you on at the same time soon.
Ooh.
So if you could arrange that, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, I can talk to her.
Yeah. Listen, and you're more than welcome to come on anytime. Listen, I appreciate your support. I mean, from the beginning, one of my biggest fans, one of my biggest supporters, and so I will always support you as well.
Thank you.
Now, Carrie, how can everyone find you?
Facebook and Instagram. It's just Carrie Dorsch. That's all. It's a very unique name, so it's pretty easy to find.
Well, if you like extreme horror, get your ass over to Amazon and get SPLATTERPARK.
It's a doozy.
Yes, and if you enjoy that, or if you enjoy her other work, check out also to her romantic novella, Tattered. Everyone, thank you for coming to the Horror Room. I'm Travis Bruce, and that's Carrie Dorsch. We'll see you next time. Take care.